everybody, welcome back to Guitar Wishes and your Guitar Wish of the Day. This is Lee coming to you once again from the beautiful Guitar Wishes facility here in downtown Lincoln, North Carolina. Today we're upstairs in the studio part, Sound Factory Studios, with a very special guest. Somebody just came in straight from Gastonia, North Carolina, down the road. This is Rob Williford. How you doing, man?
I'm great, buddy.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
He's a guitar extraordinaire, and just got back from one of the biggest country music tours of the past year. Isn't that right?
Man, it was a great year. Great tour.
Yeah. And how many cities y'all play?
Oh, man, don't ask me that. I went to a little high school called Gaston Christian High School, and you can ask my teachers. I was never a math guy.
Never a math guy?
I want to say the actual tour without the festivals was around 70.
About 70?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you play in arenas?
Mostly arenas. Summer was outdoor sheds,
Mm-hmm.
and then I sprinkled in a couple festival dates along the way, and TV and stuff. But
sure.
Yeah, the tour started in Birmingham at the end of January, which is crazy to think about it being the same year.
Yeah.
So we wrapped up last weekend. We had 2 shows at Bridgestone Arena in Nashville.
Right.
Which is awesome. But one thing that I noticed was in the production office at one of those shows, Luke's booking agency, CAA, had made everyone a plaque that had, all the dates from the tour. And one cool thing that they had done at the bottom, they'd put every continent that we've been on. And so when you see it like that, you go, wow, what a year.
Yeah, when you see it all, it just in one spot, it's probably overwhelming.
Yeah, we always try to keep our head down and on to the next thing, but it's cool to kind of have a little break and step back and go, wow, what a cool experience. So
yeah, and if you haven't guessed, this is a lead guitar player for Luke Combs. And how did you and Luke get hooked up? I know there's a story, Appalachian State connection there.
Yeah, so the Cliff Notes version of that is, so like you said, I'm from Gastonia. I met 2 guys, Brandon Carpenter and Austin Smith from Gastonia, and we had a band back in the day. And when I was 19, I moved to Nashville, which would have been 2006. Mm-hmm. And we lived out there for 3.5, 4 years, and ended up moving back home. And in 2000, I believe 13, I was doing PR for Carolyn's.
Yeah.
And man, I was in school at UNC Charlotte, and had a gal I was dating here for a while, and I was just unhappy. I wanted to do the music thing, and so I went into work on a Wednesday and clocked out for lunch and never clocked back in, and drove my Tacoma 40 west to Nashville, and I got out there. I didn't tell anybody I was going, which I would not advise anyone do this. But I didn't even tell my mom that I was moving, and so for like the first year I got out there, I just bounced around on couches and rooms I would rent on Craigslist, and I played every open mic and every dive bar and all the bars on Broadway and any songwriter night I could, just to get out there and try to network. And after about a year out there, was fortunate enough to sign up my first publishing deal as a songwriter, and that would have been 2013, the end of 2013. Mm-hmm. And right around that time, a kid reached out to me, a guy named Sam Crabtree. Sam Crabtree's mom, Lenore Crabtree, was my science teacher in high school. And the connection there is Sam was Luke's roommate at App State.
Gotcha. And
so he reached out to me, and he's like, yeah, my mom tells me you're back in Nashville doing the songwriting thing. My roommate, a guy named Luke, is coming out there to record an EP. Would you be interested in meeting him or possibly writing? And I said, yeah, sure. So Luke came by, and we met, and interestingly enough, because of that connection, started writing. And shortly thereafter, we kind of found like a mutual love for country music, but also Eric Church. Like that was kind of the first thing, because Eric went to App State, and there was a little bit of connection there with Granite Falls in North Carolina. And man, we got to writing, and it, out of pure necessity, he needed a guitar player, and so I jumped in the Dodge Neon with him and went and did a couple bar gigs, and from there we had to, out of necessity, build a band. So I hired a drummer and hired a guitar player and hired a bass player, and you look up now 6 years later, it's like it's been a whirlwind. But
yeah, completely exploded.
Yeah, that's how it began.
Yeah. You mentioned Eric. Eric is, when he's not on stage, he's Eric Church. When he's on stage, he becomes Chief.
Correct. Yeah.
The different personas that you have to take to step on the stage in front of, I don't know, 15,000 people. Do you find yourself having to go into that persona to have to go up and play?
I definitely have that. One of those personas is Rowdy, is that persona. And, I don't think I have to. I think it's something that subconsciously along the way, I kind of had this alter ego of that being my stage persona. But, I think it's two different people,
Sure.
Like it is with Eric Church, man. His is a little more drastic. When you meet him, he's a very well-spoken, smart, kind of shy guy, and very smart guy, very professional, and he knows what he's doing.
Right.
But man, he puts on the shades and he goes out there and becomes Chief, and that's why he should have won Entertainer of the Year.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can put that in there, but
well, you say that you have that persona that you go into. Are you an introvert at heart? An extrovert?
I am, absolutely. I am. I'm an introvert that loves entertaining people, which is kind of an oxymoron. But I'm the guy, like I crave the opportunity to go out and perform on stage. And,
sure.
And it's so cool because, I'm in this unique position of, I have the opportunity to write these songs and then go out, and from the inception of, you start, when you write a song, you get in a room and you take something out of thin air.
Right.
And then you create this thing or this work of art or whatever it is. And to take it from inception all the way to, I remember, I'll never forget going to Australia the first time and hearing people in Australia sing the words to like One Number Away.
Yeah.
Or Beautiful Crazy or whatever song it is, and going, wow, like what a rewarding thing.
Oh, I'm sure.
But two, like what it really a testament to the power of music.
Right.
That's what I love most about it, is that it unites. There's a uniting element about songwriting.
Absolutely. Yeah. Do you find as an introvert that it's difficult to go in front of so many people? I know that I was on the road myself for a little while, and I know that when you're on stage in front of a lot of people, you kind of almost feel sheltered. Because there's that invisible barrier between you and the crowd. I would have much rather played in front of 8,000 people than in a room full of 20 people that I know.
Yeah, I relate to that. I actually was telling somebody this morning, they were asking me about a pretty similar thing, and I told them the Grand Ole Opry is still, to this day, I mean, we've played it a handful of times now. Luke's, was inducted this year, which was crazy, but the Opry is one stage that I think I'll be 80 years old and still get nervous.
Sure.
Just because of the reverence and the history and tradition with that stage.
Right.
You can put me on stage and, we played the Atlanta Braves Stadium, where we played Mercedes-Benz, where the Falcons played, 70,000 people. Yeah. I'm more nervous walking on stage at the Opry than I am. And not to say that I don't think I'll ever be comfortable, walking out in front of that many people. I think there's a healthy amount of pressure to put on a good show and be entertaining. But yeah, I get that. I'm more nervous in front of a group of 5 people in here.
Oh yeah.
Than I am, walking out in front of thousands of people.
Absolutely. Do you this has been a fairly short beginning of the journey.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever sit back and like, this is a pinch me moment? How does this happen? What are you guys sitting back there thinking in front of, before you go on 70,000 people?
Something that I've tried to really make a conscious effort to do lately is, one, just remain mindful and remain present as it relates to being grateful. And to accomplish that, it requires, because night after night, it wasn't that long ago. It wasn't but 3.5 years ago that we were in a van and playing like Tin Roofs and bars and stuff.
Sure.
So that wasn't like it was a decade ago.
Right.
So it's moved at such an exponentially astronomical pace that we've had such a head down onto the next thing mentality, and you have to, because it can get exhausting. But I try to, step back and smell the roses, so to speak, for lack of a better cliche, and go, oh, wow, we just played Red Rocks. I remember growing up listening to Incubus live at Red Rocks. Like, just little moments like that, or, oh, we just played Madison Square Garden. Like, what a crazy thing. Never thought I would do that. Or, whatever it may be, there's all these moments along the way that, unfortunately, because of how fast it's moved and how busy we are, I think there's a tendency to kind of overlook and take that for granted. And especially now more so than ever, I try to really relish that.
Sure.
And take the opportunity to be thankful for it.
Yeah.
Like, my mom got to go with me to the CMA Awards.
Oh, that's cool.
And that was the coolest thing for me, was being able to have her there to experience that with me.
Absolutely.
Because she's seen it all. And everybody thinks, and while it has happened fast, and everybody sees the overnight success of it all, and they see the awards, and they see the records broken, and they hear the songs on the radio, and they see us playing on Kimmel and all this stuff, they don't see the backstory of Luke playing in the bars at App. They don't see him playing at Klondike. They don't see me moving to town and losing my first record deal, or losing my first publishing deal. And so there's a lot, and that goes for Luke, that goes for me, that goes for everyone really on the entire crew that travels.
Right.
Everyone has a backstory, and some longer than others as far as, what work and effort and preparation has gone into this.
Yeah.
And so, our sound guy made a good point recently. A lot of people say, like, oh man, how lucky are you? And you know what? People mean well when they say that, but there's also a lot of preparation that met opportunity along the way, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And I'm sure that your bandmates, you guys help keep each other grounded.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and
absolutely.
I'm sure you all feel the same way about these things.
One thing I love about the band, so I was the band leader for, I guess, about 4 years, up until this past tour. And one thing I love about the band is, like, when you see us walk on stage, we don't look like the stereotypical Nashville cat, I like to call us the Little Giants. We're all these misfits of, I don't even claim to be real honest with you, I don't even claim to be a guitar player. I'm a guy who loves writing songs, that knows just enough to bullshit my way on a guitar. That's it. And I'm very blessed to be able to do what I do. With that being said, I can tell you that I enjoy watching how far the band has come in such a short amount of time, because it was like this rocket ship that Luke was on. We had to elevate with him, to get the show to a level of expectation. Right. There was kind of that bar that was set that we had to meet it. And man, I love that all the guys are so hardworking and committed and dedicated to their craft, and so professional when it comes to making sure that we're going out there and we're still putting on that show, and it's still this cool organic thing when you come to a Luke Combs show. But at the same time, we're all growing together in this thing, and that's probably the best part of it all. Yeah, and so that really speaks to, I was talking to some people, kind of involved, and it really hits to the point where it's a family affair. Absolutely. And it's not just, you're not just going to see Luke Combs. Luke Combs is the band. Mm-hmm. The cool thing that Luke and I kind of found common ground on very early on was that, and going back to this Eric Church thing, was that he and I both loved the experience that was an Eric Church show. Mm-hmm. When you go to his show, and I'm not knocking people, that there's a million different ways to put on a show, right? And there's no right or wrong. But when you go to that show, you walk away from it and it's an experience. Sure. I can tell you where I was the first time I heard him play Carolina, and I can put myself right back in that moment. Mm-hmm. And Luke and I always had this vision of wanting people to come to the shows and it be a completely separate experience than them putting in the album in their car. And that's in its own right is an experience too. But and Luke's done a fantastic job of making us feel important, making us feel valued, and really giving us a little bit of time to shine too, in our own right on stage. And so I appreciate that about him. Mm-hmm. And I think that speaks to, one, the testament of him as a person. Yeah. It speaks to his character. It's also an environment that he's created that trickles down much deeper into everyone on the road that has that family mentality. Sure. And you can ask Danny, or you can ask any of the other drivers, or any of the production crew, or front of house, the lighting guys. Everyone out there respects everyone else, and everyone executes and does their job at such a high level that it's, man, I'm very blessed to be a part of that tour, because when you establish that as the tone from the inside, it's all that more attractive to everyone else when they see it. Yeah. You can't fake that.
No,
you know?
No, it's completely organic.
You know, I see a lot of guys that, you know, have been touring for a long time, and the pieces change, and, you know, you got to hire this guy for this tour. And with that, everyone's trying to make a living.
Sure.
But I think you lose a little bit of that chemistry that communicates from the stage when you do that. So
yeah, it's more of a me mentality versus a we mentality.
Yeah. It's more of a, hey, we're going to go and try to play the parts on this record. And that's fine. You know, and then there's a lot of great musicians that do that and do it far better than I could ever dream of. But one thing I enjoy and what keeps me excited night after night when you're playing the same show over and over is going out there and feeling like a part of it.
Right.
You know?
I wanted to talk about the songwriting part of things. Do you consider yourself, as you said before, a songwriter first and foremost?
Yes, absolutely.
And I can't imagine, I can't wrap my brain around having a song that you wrote up for an award at CMA.
Mm-hmm. I can't either. You know,
I mean,
I get asked a lot, like, you know, I think the most popular question is, especially recently, what was that like? Winning a CMA, and I don't have any words, man.
You can't have words.
I still wake up and I go, man, was that real? You know, did that
Are
really
you sure they didn't make a mistake?
Right? Yeah, sure. I mean, but that's kind of the vision, you know, like the thing that you fantasize about. I would be lying if I told you that I never thought about that or that wasn't the goal. You know, like some kids go out and count down from 3 and shoot the shot in the backyard and envision winning the, you know, NBA championship or whatever. For me, as a kid getting these records, the first thing I would do would rip them open and tear out the liner notes and read who played on it and who wrote these songs.
Right.
And so I found a passion in that part of it early on. Mm-hmm. And so, man, winning a CMA for Song of the Year, that's it. Yeah. Like that's it. That's the pinnacle of it. And I remember years ago, Luke and I were playing what they call a showcase, which is where you go in for a label and you sit down and you play them a couple songs. And if they like you, they give you a record deal. That's, you know, there's a lot more to it, but that's the basics of it, right? Mm-hmm. And I'll never forget going and playing for this record label, and the head of the label asked Luke, so what do you want to do? Where do you see yourself? And Luke, without even thinking about it, he's like, I want to be Garth Brooks. And it took them aback almost, because for someone to come in and have that kind of, you know, it wasn't, I want to make a record or I want to have a hit song on the radio. No, he said, I want to be Garth Brooks. Yeah. You know, and so I think when you set the bar, and I always tell people, don't let anyone limit your goals or your dreams. Mm-hmm. You know, that's a testament to, he's created this kind of attitude of, man, let's really shoot for the stars with this. So, but even still, with that being said, man, there's no words for what that experience is like, getting to
I'm sure
to win that.
Do you feel like that inner core of you, that songwriter, is that songwriter still getting fed?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, this next year we have a really light, compared to the past couple of years, we have a light touring schedule. Right. So it's I get to kind of pop back into wearing that creative hat of being a songwriter again, which I'm extremely excited about. I've just signed a new publishing deal, so I'm working with some new people, and it's I'm almost re-inspired to go and, you know, I want to do it again. You know, I want to win another one and another one, and I want to have more and more hits and longevity in this. And man, and through that, I've, you know, gotten to meet and work with people that were heroes of mine along the way.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I've gotten in rooms with other writers that, you know, for years and years I studied and respected them, and now I get to call them friends and people that I write with. So I'm super grateful for that.
Tell me what challenges you. I mean, look at the accomplishments over the past few years. What still challenges you? I mean, you're playing the biggest arenas in the world. Mm-hmm. You know, you got the #1 album in the world. You know, a Song of the Year. What's your next challenge?
You know, that's a really good question. For me, I always tell people, I've never claimed to be a great writer. I don't even claim to be a guitar player, man. In Nashville, you're surrounded by world-class musicians, so I don't even like I said, I can hold it and strum it enough to fake it. But for me, I always take pride in I will outwork you. I will have a work ethic that is unparalleled, and I will persevere. I had a writer that I looked up to for a long time tell me years ago, man, you just won't leave. And you know what? I took pride in that. Like, you're right, I won't, because this is something I love. And I think with anything in life that you do, that you're trying to attain some success, you know, I hate them, but I'll use the New England Patriots, for example. I'm a big Panthers fan, so it's, you know, dark times for us right now.
Yeah.
But a team like that, I think there's an attitude of you have to be your own toughest critic.
Sure.
You know? And as long as you're setting your own bar higher and higher and not getting content, I think that's the trick. And I know Luke feels that way. You know, Luke has managed to, over the years, all right, so we nailed it. We did this tour. We had a great year. Let's go home. Let's enjoy some time off with our family. But then in 2020, let's come back and let's do it bigger. Yeah. You know? I think it's all about making sure that you set an expectation for yourself.
Right. And eventually, I guess, is that what you want your legacy to be? That you would outwork anybody in the room?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm cool with that. I'm cool if someone said, man, that Rob guy, he's a pretty shitty player, they'd be right. But, man, he's a dude that loves country music and really worked at it to become better at his craft. I would hope they would follow that sentence with that.
That's awesome, man. Was it always country growing up?
No. So early on when I was a kid, I remember my first concert. This is kind of wild. So mine and Luke's first concert was Reba McEntire. Same venue, different year. And it was at Charlotte. It used to be called Blockbuster Pavilion. Now it's PNC. Yep. So that was cool for us to headline that this year. You know, being that Luke and I both had our first experience at that same venue. But I remember my grandparents getting me Reba McEntire, Tracy Lawrence, Leanne Rhymes. Dixie Chicks were playing all the time. I remember country being a big part of my childhood. Right. But I didn't really develop a love for music per se till I was a teenager. And it's a pretty definitive moment. I was 13 or 14, somewhere in there, and I went and saw a Battle of the Bands at Ashbrook and saw a kid named Caleb Davis. I saw Caleb play Freebird behind his head, the solo. Yeah. And I said, I want to do that.
I want to do that. Sure.
I'm looking at the girls, you know, and I'm going, well, man, I'm kind of a nerd. I'm not cool, but man, if I can learn how to do that, that might be all right. And so from there, I begged my mom for a year to get me a guitar, and she refused because I played the trumpet and threw that away. But finally, she got me a guitar, and how it started was I sat in my basement and really went through my dad's old vinyl of like Van Halen, AC/DC, Nantucket, Foreigner, some of these old classic rock records, man, that had great riffs. And man, I would butcher them. I would just butcher them in the basement, and I would be remiss if I didn't include Metallica in that. I sat there and tried to play Master of Puppets for hours on end. But that's really where it started. And from there, I wanted to be that guitar player. And I slowly figured out, like, I'm just not good at this. I'm not naturally, because, you meet some people that pick up an instrument or a stringed instrument and they can just play it. Sure. I was not that guy. Gotcha. I was the furthest thing from that guy. And still to this day, like when I go out on stage and play every night, I'm having to really consciously think about it. There is no autopilot with me playing. And that's cool. I enjoy that. It creates a challenge for me. But I think it was around 16, 17, 18 that I kind of redeveloped a love for country music. And getting started in this band I was in, we were really big on like 3-part harmony. Yeah. And again, I didn't know how to sing. Nobody in my family's musical. Harmony, I didn't even know what it was. I loved it. I loved hearing it. And I was like, man, I want to learn how to do that. But it was something that took me a really long time. And it's something I still work at every day to try to get better at. But no, I got into country around 16, 17, 18. When I was 18, my mom got me, like as a gift, tickets to the CMA Fest in Nashville. Yeah. And that's really where I fell in love with the town and decided, I want to do this. And so that's when I got more of a mindset focused on the writing part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but, maybe not being able to play those riffs that you were listening to, those Van Halens, but you're probably, maybe not even knowing it, probably breaking down the song structure in your head.
Absolutely. You know, there was something there with just the appreciation of like how this song is created. You know, and I find more and more as I listen now, I pay more attention to the way that they've mixed the song, even, or you know, you go back to, I think about sitting down and learning some of these riffs and stuff, and like Hotel California, for example. How melodic is that guitar solo? You can sit there and hum every note of that.
Right.
That's a great melody.
Mm-hmm.
That aspect of it is just as important in the writing room, you know, connecting that melody with that lyric that resonates with the listener. You know, you can pull from that.
Absolutely.
And I mean, some of my favorite albums and records and songs have really memorable melodic guitar parts.
Absolutely. And so the future. So this coming year, 2020, you said a fairly light year to incomparable to what it's been.
Right.
And some writing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Excited about that.
Awesome. I can't thank you enough.
Hey, thank you, buddy.
It's been a true pleasure sitting down with you, man.
It,
Thank you so much for joining us. All right. Special thanks to Rob Williford and his crew for showing up here at Guitar Wishes and for giving us a great in-depth interview about what it's like to be on the road with Luke Combs, the songwriting process, and for sharing his incredible trophy for the Song of the Year for Beautiful Crazy. That was incredible. Nothing that cool has really ever been in the shop before. So thanks, Rob, for bringing that in. And I hope you enjoy that power supply from Big Joe, and everybody at Big Joe was really, really happy to give you that. So I hope it works well for you. Let us know how it goes. And for everybody here at Guitar Wishes, thanks so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Cruising for a bruising.